Well, there we have the Diablo solenoid. I'm gonna try to put everything back together, but unfortunately, it's a different terminal type. And I think I'm gonna have to step drill out one size more on this because there's an M6 stud on the new piece. And I think that's really gonna be the kicker. So there is a way where you can disconnect this piece from the car, but I don't think I'm really gonna bother with that. I just wanna make sure I can get this on the solenoid. Then I'll pull the oil line all the way back off again, and we'll get into it. I'll tell you one thing, guys, I'm getting really good at hammering starter motors in and out of this thing. So anyway, you can see these solenoid wires moved up top now. I gotta install that, and then I gotta cinch up the output, and then get the input in, hook up the battery, and I'll give it 10-15 minutes just to make sure the solenoid feels okay. Then we'll actually hook up the battery and try to start the car. Obviously after I deal with the oil service and everything like that, but yeah. Okay. It's all in. All looks fine. Let's hook up that battery and see what's what. All right, let's check on the solenoid temperature. Stone cold. All right, well, here goes nothing. Let's go check. So I'm just gonna bump it real quick to confirm that it is a positive starter, not a negative starter. Seems good. All right, let's change that oil. All right, just prepping. I'm gonna be replacing a whole bunch of fluids on this thing now. So the front and rear diffs, they want 75W90, GL4, GL5 with the friction modifier. The trans is actually spec for the same oil, but I'm gonna be running Redline MTL in there. That's a 75W90 equivalent, but I've had really good luck with that thing, smoothing out synchros. And the trans actually feels pretty good on this car, but every little bit. Somebody has already swapped out the drain plugs, I'm noticing, for typical hex. Normally those are triple square. And yeah, that hole right up there is where the oil actually comes out of it. So I'm gonna need to find a formal funnel or topside the main oil tank. Not really sure yet. Everything else looks good. I do have a filter, it's in the front trunk. I have to go get that down. And yeah, that's about it. Just about there. But yeah, it doesn't make sense to not do all that. Oh yeah, brake fluid too. Brake and clutch fluid. I have no idea how long it's been since it's had to bleed. So I gotta find the slave. Wherever that is. Looks like clutch line there. I don't know where the bleeder is. I'm gonna have to look that up. Oh, if you guys know where the bleeder is on a Murcielago, let me know. Anyway, at least we got it running. We got it started. And there's still a little bit of a season left, so pretty happy about that. Stupid messes. Today's project is still very much this. But I also have crank windows. This car actually came with power windows. I converted it to manual. So instead of getting a formal funnel and making a huge mess, I'm just gonna use the extractor and ideally not make a huge mess. But this is going to be slow going because it is cold oil. Well, just a little over 2 quarts came out there, so I'm not entirely sure. I may still have to get a formal funnel and drain it later. I'm going to try to keep tabs on how much oil I've drained. I have all the initial oil that came out first there. Yeah, next up, we're going to come under here and undo both of these drain plugs, get all that going. Gonna wipe off this line. I did remember have that disconnected, so I'm pretty sure a couple quarts already came out, and that may be a consequence of draining down from the tank into the sump as well. After that, we'll deal with the oil filter, which thank goodness some reasonable human put that on. And yeah, once both drain plugs are done, I'll leave one of them out, probably the rear one out for longer while we're doing the other transmission oil and differential. So I got fill and drain plugs here, it looks like. And this takes 7590. It does have a clutch type limited slip in it, so that needs the friction modifier. We're going to be running, I'll show you the fluids. And here we're going to be running Redline MTL. That's the center, diff, and trans. And in the front diff, we're going to be running Redline 7590 NS, or the Liqui Moly equivalent. So again, got the fluids right there. Had everything in stock, luckily. But yeah, let's get the engine oil draining. Well, there's our front plug. Actually, a really good amount of oil came out of there. This is a 5-gallon container. This was our starting level, so that's 3, maybe 4 quarts. I'll be curious to see, but that's much more in line with what I would have expected to come out of the actual oil tank. So yeah, I'm guessing most of the oil probably lives in the actual sump when the engine's off. I would expect that we'll get a decent amount out of the rear plug as well, but I'll let this one drain quite a bit longer. Gotta love Italian engineering. Yeah, let's put the cross member right underneath it. Seems like a great idea. Well, 2.5 gallons is the total oil capacity. I took a little bit out for an oil sample and it was maybe a little low. So that's the full drain. Took it out of there, took it out of the original Liqui Moly container and out of the sumps. So I'm pretty confident that this thing is indeed bone dry. New oil filter is on. I wrote the date and mileage on it. And now I'm gonna go ahead and start with the diffs. Start with the fill plug first. And then we'll drain them, get them all situated with new fluid. And eventually we will add some new engine oil and get this baby fired back up. But yeah, right now, she dry. The oil still look pretty good. The magnets had a little schmoo on them, but pretty good. I have some speculation that oil was original in this diff at 18,000 miles. Anyway, yeah, quite a bit of fluid in this bad boy. So I'm gonna wait for it to drizzle out all the way, or at least get down to a barely trickle. Then we'll get the drain plug back in, and we'll get to filling. And yeah, the back diff here is going to be getting, I believe it's this, the 80W90. I do also have 75W90, which is hypoid. Or no, this is hypoid. The front diff definitely needs that. I might put this in the rear, as this has the friction modifier. Pretty sure. On further inspection, it looks like this probably does. However, I cannot find conclusive data. So I do have Redline MT90 over there as well. I'm gonna end up throwing that in the rear diff, because I know for sure that has friction modifier. So, all right. Yep. That held a lot of fluid, but everything looked good there. So let's move on to, I guess, the trans, and we'll do the front diff. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there was an absolutely absurd amount of fluid in this thing. I would say 3.5, maybe more liters. So Redline MTL in there. And yeah, we're gonna move on to the front diff. I'll have to move some of this crap around, but that's just gonna take our GL5 Liqui Moly. Oh God, now we can put some oil in it. All right, got a 17 and a 14 on this one. Let's get the front diff did. All right. Oh, for Pete's sake. Of course I got jammed in the lift. Why wouldn't it have? Whatever, anyway, all the functional fluids and everything are done under the car except for clutch and brake. I will do those, but I gotta show you what's going on up front. It's ridiculous. Okay, so my power bleeder will fit. However, you have to pop out a grommet to get the hose through there. And that's gonna be a little bit tricky. So yeah, that one's not gonna be a today ordeal. At least it had the grommet in it. Yeah, everything up here looks pretty good. The nose lift, I still have to deal with that at some point. I think that's here. No, I can't be, that's ABS. Some hydraulic pump somewhere, and it's got what looks like ATF in it, so I'll have to do some research online, but either way, let's put some oil in it just so I don't forget, and yeah, go from there. Yeah, that funnel's not gonna work. I'm gonna go get something proper just so I don't spill a ton of oil all over everything. Okay, so I pre-filled the sump with 3 liters, and I pre-filled the oil tank with 7. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull all this out, plug it all back together so we don't have a huge vacuum leak. Fire it up, make sure we have oil pressure, and to make sure the starter still works. And then we will check the oil level. I'm gonna Google it real quick, but I think it has to be done with the engine running as well. Dipstick time. Okay, what a huge pain. Ferrari is definitely easier than this, but yeah. Essentially, you just want to put oil back in where it came out with approximately the right quantities. Then we can check it all on this car after it's up to temperature, and then we turn the engine off. Good oil pressure. All right, now we warm her up. We're really close. Need to add about a half a liter. Runs good though.